Jesus has endowed all true believers with the power and the right to govern and control. You have dominion over the devil. You have dominion over demons. And you have dominion over diseases. Do you realize you have authority over these elements? They don't have to defeat you, but too often Christians are defeated by these forces against them. But out of the two aspects of dominion, power and authority, the most neglected understanding that people have is authority. So we're going to talk about the authority aspect of dominion today, and we're going to look at Matthew chapter 8, verse 5. It says, when Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him asking for help. Lord, he said, my servant lies at home paralyzed and in terrible suffering. Jesus said to him, I will go and heal him. The centurion replied, Lord, I do not deserve to have you come under my roof, but just say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority with soldiers under me. I tell this one, go, and he goes, and that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard this, he was astonished and said to those following him, I tell you the truth, I have not found anyone in Israel with such great faith. I say to you that many will come from the east and the west and will take their places at the feast with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the subjects of the kingdom will be thrown outside into darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then Jesus said to the centurion, go, it will be done just as you believed it would. And his servant was healed at that very hour. This is such an important story to me because there's only one of two characters in all of the New Testament in which Jesus said these had great faith. How many of y'all want to have great faith? Well, if you're going to have great faith, then why don't we learn from the two people in the Bible that had great faith? We're going to focus, however, on this centurion only, all right? So, if we have great faith, then great things are going to be done. Sickness will leave, not just for ourselves, but for other people. Miracles will be wrought if we can have great faith. God can turn relationships and marriages around if we have great faith. God can save the hardest of sinners if you'll only believe and have great faith that God could do it for them. Nothing is too difficult for God. What was the secret to this man's great faith? Why did he have this great faith? I believe the secret lies in what he said. He said this, I am a man under authority, and I have soldiers under me. So what is he saying? I understand how authority works. Someone with authority only needs to say the word. They only need to say, do this and do that, and it gets done. So I recognize you, Jesus, as someone who has the authority to declare my servant healed. If you order him healed, then God will back you up, and I see that in you. You have this authority. So the secret to great faith is understanding authority. So as we are teaching on the dominion of the believer and understanding authority, as you begin to understand this authority that you have, you will begin to exercise great faith. But let us dissect this story for a moment. He said, verse 9, for I myself am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. Now notice two things he said. First, and the most important, is I'm a man under authority. Now listen to me. You'll never operate in the authority of Christ if you don't get under Christ. How can you expect to exercise authority when you yourself am a rebel? You can't be a rebel against authority and expect the authority of the believer to work for you. It's not going to work. So what this soldier is saying is, look, I understand how authority works. I recognize I have authority with soldiers under me. And I tell them whatever they do, but I also know that my authority doesn't derive in myself. I didn't just wake up one morning and decided to have soldiers and order them around. I know you don't just wake up and have authority. It has to be given to you from someone above you. He says, I recognize there's someone above me that is going to back my authority. So when I tell a soldier to do this, the soldier could be bigger and stronger than me, but he listens to me because even though I'm weaker and smaller than him, I have the entire Roman soldier, the entire government that's going to back me up. So it's not me alone, it's what's behind the authority, and because I'm under authority, they have promised to back me up. It's like a police officer. A police officer can tell cars that are driving and put their hand out and say, stop. They'll stop, even though the car is much greater and more powerful than the police officer. It could run them over, but they stop. Why? Because it's not just the 180-pound officer that makes it stop. It's what's behind that officer. The officer knows I have the entire city government behind me. So an El Paso police officer, he exercises authority because the whole city will get behind him. You understand? He has the whole city force behind him. The city pays his salary, pays his pension, provides for him. He recognizes it's not me alone, it's what I'm under. So authority can never be exercised in a vacuum where you have authority by yourself. It is recognizing I am linked to someone greater than me. I'm linked to God who is greater than me. And when I exercise authority, the reason why sickness will go is because God's behind my authority. The reason why the devil will leave is because God is behind me. He's standing behind me. Y'all remember The Lion King? One of my favorite scenes of The Lion King is when Simba, a little baby cub, is facing a bunch of hyenas, and they're ready to tear him apart. And so little Simba lets out a pitiful scream. And you remember the hyenas start laughing. I think I'm doing it pretty good. But anyway, they're laughing at little Simba. What a pitiful lion. And they're ready to eat him. And all of a sudden, Simba tries one more time. And he's ready to do it. All of a sudden, and immediately, all the hyenas back off and they run. And Simba's thinking, whoa, did that came from me? But right behind little Simba was his father, Mufasa. And it was Mufasa that was behind the authority of the king cub. And that's a picture of our authority. When you tell the devil, get out, it's not your little wimpy, get out. It's what's behind you. God himself is behind you. And he points the finger at the devil and says, get out because he said so.